Hello, this is Danny Ceballos with Unleashed Consulting and your Best Boss Bootcamp Minute. Today's minute our letter comes from Confused in Cortland. Confused says, how can I get my folks to be more professional? I feel like how I think they should look and behave is not important to them. They just want to be their authentic selves, no matter how unprofessional I think they look and act. Help. So dear Cortland, I've got three things that I want to suggest that you do as you're thinking about how to work through this notion of professionalism. The first is I want you to check yourself, meaning that we all have different lenses for how we view professional, the word professional, depending on a lot of things, including power and privilege as it has to do with our cultural backgrounds. So really rethink how we think about professional now in this day and age is very different from just a few years ago or even a few years before that. So really ask yourself, what is it that you bring to the table about expectations about this word and this term professional? And are they congruent with how the times that we find ourselves in right now and the people that we're working in with right now? Really ask yourself if professional is the right word that you're looking for, which brings me to point number 2. I want to encourage you to start thinking about impact and effectiveness versus professional. In other words, ask your folks when you're thinking about how they dress and act, ask them and ask yourself, are they having the impact and the effectiveness that they want to have in order to meet whatever the work goal is? If they're not having the impact and effectiveness, then maybe there's something that we should consider in terms of how we look, how we operate, how we talk, that can be changed so that we become more effective with a greater impact. So instead of this amorphous term we call professional, instead start to measure impact and effectiveness, and then backwards engineer that to how can we best look, act, be in order to be most effective. Sometimes that has to do with traditional ways of being professional and acting professional. A lot of times it is much more about the particular work, the particular conversation, the particular thing that you are doing. And then the third strategy I want to share with you, Confused, is to really make sure that you and your team are doing the DEI work, the diversity, equity, and inclusion work that you need to do. When we start raising our own awareness of cultural biases, both intended and unintended, and the microaggressions that are associated with that, and the macroaggressions that are associated with not getting that right, when we start doing that work, we start to really understand that a term like professional really is a hollow word. It really has to do with our own perspective. In fact, Anise Nin says, this is a great quote. She says, we don't see things as we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. And that's what we're doing with professional. We are looking through this lens of this word that may not be what we need it to be any longer. So really stick with instead, what is the impact and effectiveness as opposed to just being professional. And a big part of that is doing the DEI work, that deep dive into what do we bring to the table in terms of expectations of each other. All right, and I also want to point you to a blog, a recently written blog. The link is right here below this. It just takes you a few minutes to read, but where I really get into some more about the nuance of the term professional. All right, everybody, this is Danny Ceballos with Unleashed Consulting and the Best Boss Bootcamp Minute. Special thanks to Confused in Cortland, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.